Tuesday, August 1st, and this is Geeknights. Tonight, we discuss the video game Super Mario Strikers. Let's do this! Today is Tuesday, which means tomorrow is Wednesday. In fact, you're probably listening to this on Wednesday. Thursday, we're going to Otakon.
Otakon, ho!
Watch as my sword grows larger.
Now, because we're going to Otakon, next week we're going to have nothing but Geeknights specials as opposed to normal Geeknights episodes.
Because they're recorded in advance. And, yeah.
2, tomorrow is the last show for this week because Thursday we will be at Otakon.
And, you know, it's not fun to record a show while you're at a con.
Let alone pay for the privilege of uploading a show.
Actually, I think there's free wireless in the BCC, but
well, we can't go into the BCC Thursday.
I think it's all the whole Inner Harbor area, but it's too much effort. Screw you guys.
Yeah, we may upload little things or post in the forum, but you're not getting much from us.
Nope, not much at all. Maybe, yeah.
Now, also, Wednesday is not going to be a normal episode. It is going to be the Otakon pregame. So if you're coming to Otakon and you are curious as to how, when, where, and why you can or would want to be able to see us, that will be the best idea of where we're going to be and when and what we'll be doing at the con.
In addition to some other things, like things you might want to check out at the con and all kinds of other, this year specific con info and tips from us. But if you're not going to Otakon, don't even bother listening to tomorrow.
No, listen anyway, because you should care about Otakon a lot.
If you're in the Northeast U.S. and you're a geek, yes.
If you live east of the Mississippi and you are in any way a geek.
Well, north of the... Well, I guess no, the Mason-Dixon's real close to Otakon.
Yeah,
so
people from the south go to Otakon. Just
Carolina and north should care.
The one thing about Otakon is that very definitely there's a lot more traffic clogging up I-95 north than I-95 south after the con.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true.
But anyway, it is gaming day. We've got a lot to say about Super Mario Strikers, but we'll get to that.
Right now, was probably the hottest news this week, and we know we're recording this on Sunday, right?
Yes, right now the press date is Sunday, July 30th at 9:56 p.m. Therefore, if there are any breaking developments after that time, we will not have that information tonight.
Well, here's the thing. There's a news story about E3, and the final word about this news story is going to be on Monday, which is tomorrow, which is after we're recording this, and before you're listening to it. So you're going to know the full story, but we can't talk about that because we don't know it yet.
So we're not going to talk a lot about the details of what's going on, and we're going to talk a lot more about what we think the ramifications will be.
Yes. Now, the story is
the story was that E3 is canceled.
Yes.
Way to go, Dave.
There was one website that decided, I think, next gen, and they wanted to bring a lot of traffic to their site and be all, ooh, with a hot story. So they put up a news story that said E3 is canceled. Ars Technica is reporting that that's bullshit. Now, E3 is run by the Entertainment Software Association, which is sort of like the RIAA for video games, or the MPAA for video games. And they run E3 as part of what they do. And E3 isn't really useful anymore, as useful, for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before, but basically E3 is all the people who want to go to E3 and who do go to E3 now, they want it to be a convention where they can hang out and play video games and learn about video games and have a good time.
And play the newest video games before everyone else because it's so cool and awesome.
Also, I mean, especially not so much now, because now every dick in the world can go to E3. Like, it's not hard to get into E3.
Yeah.
But it used to be a lot more difficult.
I mean, it's technically very difficult. You have to actually be in the industry. The problem is that it really isn't difficult.
And like 2, 3, 4 years ago, people who went to E3, it was like, I went to E3, and people would go, what? Wow.
Well, because E3 is supposed to be a trade show. A trade show is when a bunch of companies in the same industry all set up booths in a big room and network with each other and do business
simultaneously.
And they show off the latest products to the press.
Yes, the press are the biggest key there, because the press will see everything and write press releases on it and news and articles.
Well, not press releases.
Well, they will watch the press releases and then report on them.
Yes,
and then they will write press articles about them.
And this wasn't easy to do back in the day. You know, if you had a new product back in the day, how could you show it off? You couldn't just make a website for it. You either had to hold an event and get people to come to your company to show them this new amazing product, and have a press conference, which is a pain in the ass, or you could just go to a trade show and save all your new products for the trade show, and then all the press would see your new product, and you don't have to hold a press conference at your company.
Now, because E3 has gotten bigger and bigger, it has become filled with people like me and Scott, who generally are just in the way of this industry trying to do what it wants to do.
Yes, the point of E3 is that companies would, show their stuff to each other, see what each other is doing, and show their stuff to the press. And number one, it's becoming too expensive to go to E3 as a company. It's much cheaper to just put your press release out on the internet, or hold a little press conference, or make a website, or put, anything like that. And it's just as effective. Back in the day, you needed a trade show. Now, you don't. And E3 is a lot more expensive than a press release on the internet to Engadget or to Kotaku or any other video game blog. Or IGN can put out your, news just as effectively if you just send them a note with a picture.
Yeah.
So these companies all spend money on E3, and they're not getting so much. What they're getting is a bunch of gamers waiting in line to play the Wii. And they're not getting enough press people enough time playing the Wii.
Yeah, well, Sony didn't have this problem, at least. No one was waiting in line to play their stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the way it's really supposed to be is that you assume that everyone walking around the convention is either press or industry. So what happens, though, is at E3, they have to have all this stuff behind closed doors, and that way you can't get as many press people seeing it.
But the thing is, E3 was supposed to be the thing behind closed doors. You shouldn't have closed doors inside of the closed doors. That's like the champagne room, and there's no sex in there.
Yeah.
There's just champagne and a PSP.
So E3 is really not what it's supposed to be. Another thing about E3 is that it's supposed to be a place where, since it's just industry and press, the small guy can get noticed. He can set up a booth and show off his amazing new gaming technology, and all the cool press-type people will see it. And, because normally they wouldn't pay attention to that shit, but they walk around E3, they see all the major players, and then they walk over and they see all the small-time players. And if you have a good show in your booth, they'll maybe say something about it.
Now, the thing is, the news so far is that E3 is trying to go back to its roots of generally press and industry only. It looks like they're going to downsize significantly and not let the teeming, mouth-breathing masses in.
And they're also trying to make it no longer the Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo show that it's become. They're trying to make it more of a, the whole gaming industry show.
All the people who couldn't have a press release that anyone would care about.
Yep, they're going to finally get what they wanted at E3, and the press people will be happy because now they don't have to wait in a freaking line to do their job behind a million crazy fanboys.
Now, the one thing I wonder, and this is really related to my second thing, that Penny Arcade is generally regarded as the most influential entity on gaming in America today.
One of them.
Yeah, they're up there. They are definitely very, very influential.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that the new E3 will still allow them in as press.
But here's the thing. What's Penny Arcade going to do if there aren't a million crazy fans to come visit them at the convention, at the E3 trade show?
Well, I know what Taiko will do. He'll wander around looking at all the indie games and then talk about them at length.
That's what he will do, yes. But it's going to be, for some people, there's going to be less reason for them to go to E3.
But the thing is, a lot of the people who will have less reason to go are the people that they don't want there in the first place.
Yep. Now, here's another thing, is that since E3 is supposed to be a trade show, but has become more of a convention/trade show, if they try to kick the convention stuff out, which I think they should, all those convention people, they might migrate to PAX.
Now, this is my RIM's official Geeknights prediction. I think that if this happens and E3 actually does kick out all the fans and all the people who aren't part of the industry, that the Penny Arcade Expo is going to explode. Absolutely explode. I mean, it's already, I would say, the number 2 video game con in America.
Now, here's another thing, though. Think about that for a second. Penny Arcade is a webcomic that was started 5, 6, something years ago, 7 years ago.
A little more. I don't actually remember when it started. All I know is I can't imagine a time when I didn't read it.
Yeah, it started like late high school, early college. So 99, 2000, right?
Yeah, but as big as it is, it's just a webcomic.
It's a webcomic. And their webcomic was so popular, and there was a webcomic about video games, that they made a little video game convention, a little gaming convention in Seattle-ish area, right?
they've had, what, 2 of them?
I think there's been 2 or 3 of them, yeah.
And it's already become a very large convention, especially compared to most other
cons. And if E3 goes down and all those E3 people who can't get into E3 now go to PAX instead, think about that. One webcomic has its own convention, and it becomes as crazy as the convention part of E3.
I mean, for all of you who think, oh, Mega Tokyo was huge back in the day, Mega Tokyo never had a convention.
Yeah, Mega Tokyo had a panel at Otakon that had a long line. He never had his own convention.
Not only their own, but 2. Penny Arcade is thinking seriously about having an East Coast and a West Coast PAX.
That's been rumored. I hope so, because it's hard to go to West Coast PAX.
Yes, hence I covered my butt by saying thinking about. Though I can say with fair certainty that we're going to PAX next year come hell.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. So, yeah, E3, what are they going to do? We'll find out Monday. You probably already know because it's Tuesday.
Yes.
But here it's Sunday.
And we don't have another news because we think that covered it for news.
Yeah, I think so too.
And things of the day.
Things of tomorrow. Wait, no, things of 2 days ago.
All right. Anyway, I actually didn't have a good thing of the day, and I didn't feel like trolling around, so I did my usual look on Google video for something funny. Now, for anyone who watches the show Reno 911, which I don't, but I've seen many episodes and clips of it over the years, and I do enjoy the show. Maybe partly due to my general distrust of police officers, which you're going to hear about at some point in the future. Anyway, this is a bit that has probably been seen fairly widely, but I find it hilarious, of some guy playing D&D LARP, and he's shot another guy with an arrow, and the 2 Reno 911 police guys are trying to get out of him why he shot this guy with the arrow. And if you have ever played a live-action role-playing game or Dungeons & Dragons, you will find this hilarious.
Yeah, that's the only problem with it is it's really not funny if you don't understand D&D, because the guy runs away and he's like, I have boots of escaping?
Boots of escaping, and the cop pulls out a gun, he's like, bam!
Yeah.
Plus the fact that the one cop knows about the game, so he's like, I rolled an 18, and the cop's like, yes, you rolled an 18, and you hit him right there with the 3-point armor, and the other cop's like, shut up. It's funny, it's worth watching.
All right, mine needs a little explanation. On BoardGameGeek.com, which is a website that has a database of every board game, and it's pretty much the only website for board gaming on the internet.
We've linked to it many times.
Yes. They have a feature known as the Geek List. And what you can do is you can make a list of things, usually games. And you make a list of games, and at the top you post what the list is, and then below you have the list of games, and then people can comment on each item in the list. It's actually pretty cool. Someone made a list that's pretty interesting that I felt like making it a thing of the day. The list is free computer versions of board and card games with artificial intelligence computer opponents and with screenshots.
It is exactly what that says.
It is exactly what that says. So if there are board games or card games that you want to play against AI computer opponents and you would like to see screenshots of those games before you play them for free, this is a list of some of them. The top one is a game of Tigris and Euphrates that I've tried to play, and it never really works so well. I think it's because I have a bad Java or it's poorly written.
I consider it unplayable.
Yeah. The next one is Modern Art, which is pretty cool. It's a bidding game. San Juan, Web of Power, St. Petersburg, Space Hulk. You get the idea. All these board and card games that people really like, and free downloadable or web playable versions of those games that you don't need friends to play.
All right.
Very useful for learning new games, especially complicated ones like Eurorails.
Well, I remember way back when Skojo and Alicia would play Settlers online to the exclusion of life itself.
Yeah, I played Settlers online, but not to the exclusion of anything else.
Yeah, of course, playing Settlers online was just cemented home into us the idea that Settlers is a broken game.
Yep. In fact, the Java version of Settlers and and the Microsoft version that is not free is also on the list.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, we've been debating buying Super Mario Strikers for a long time, and we nominally were waiting until it fell in price.
Yeah, I mean, it's a $50 game. It's hard to find it used. I tried to buy it on eBay for $40 instead of $50, and I got outbid. So
the price never came down. So the other day,
And it seemed like stores were running out of copies. Like, it wasn't an easy game to get anymore. It used to be everywhere, and now it was sort of disappearing.
Yep, so finally we were bored, mostly because there aren't many good two-player games, other than Advance Wars, which Scott won't play with me. Hellas,
I will,
which is
just not often.
Hellas, which is a terrible game.
Yep.
And
So-
games we've already beaten or require 3 or 4 people.
So now we played Mario Strikers, which is Mario Soccer, in the store on demo machines, and it's a lot of fun. And, I wanted it. I wasn't going to pay $50 for it. I finally said, fine, I'll pay $50 for it, and I bought it. And I think it was worth $50.
I'll say right now, if you don't have time to listen to the whole episode, Super Mario Strikers is freaking badass. It is an amazing, awesome, incredibly fun game.
Yep. Now, basically, you play soccer.
Now, the difference is that there are no really rules. I mean, there's no offsides, there's no out of bounds. You can kill the other guy. You can throw shells at each other.
Sort of like NBA Jam. Or,
Yeah.
You can just hit people, dunk, break the rim, do whatever you want.
Now, in keeping with all of the other Mario sports games, the controls are very simple and yet at the same time allow for a great wealth of strategy and skilled play.
Yep. Basically, what you can do is, well, let's describe the game. It's not real soccer like FIFA soccer.
It's 4-on-4 soccer.
It's 5-on-5 with one of the people as a goalie.
Oh yeah, with the alligator.
You pick first your team captain, which is Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy,
Waluigi, Wario, Yoshi,
Donkey Kong.
and the secret one, which, spoiler alert, it's a robot.
It's not cool. It's kind of lame, and it's a cheap. It's basically, you should only use that team if you're nubs, because that's sort of a cheating team.
Unless we both use that team.
Yeah, then it would be fair. But anyway, then you choose your sidekicks, which are
Toads, Birdos,
Koopa Troopas, and Hammer Brothers.
yeah, Hammer Brothers.
And you get 3 of those. So let's say you pick Luigi Hammer Brother. Your team consists of a Luigi and 3 Hammer Brothers. Your goalie is always an alligator from Donkey Kong.
Who you don't control.
You don't control the goalie at all. None. You can't even enable goalie control. And it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because the game now is mostly the strategy of, field strategy. And you don't have to worry about, trying to control the goalie while you're also trying to take the ball away from the opponent. But at the same time, is it really now a game of you versus your opponent, or is it a game of who is better against the computer-controlled goalies, me or the rim?
I think it's still the former, mainly because while you can figure out ways to get around the goalie, and in fact, the instruction book and such kind of give you hints at how to get around the goalie, and there are a lot of very well-defined ways to get around the goalie. But everyone knows those, so the game is still, how do I set this up so I can get it through the goalie when he knows what I'm trying to do, and he's about to slam my dude against that electric fence?
Yeah, what it does is it's not a game about scoring goals at so much as is it a game about maneuvering your guys on the field in a strategic way in real time.
Now, the controls, well, like I said, are very simple, but generally, you hit A to pass and B to shoot. And then variations thereof, like if you're on your own side and you hit B, instead of shooting, you clear it to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hold L down to modify either an A or B to do a lob shot or a lob pass.
That kind of puts it up in the air. So, like, if I want to pass it to my teammate and there's a guy on the other team in the way, a lob pass will go over his head instead of on the ground.
But also, the person catching a lob pass has to slow down and spend some time catching it.
They have to jump up and get it. So, you got to really think about what you're doing.
And then there's also a nice mechanic of when you have the ball, say I hit A to pass, and before it hits the guy I'm passing it to, I hit A again and let go. When it hits him, he'll automatically and immediately do a one-touch pass to the next person.
From the air. It's a lot like Smash Brothers and other fighting games where, there's very specific, commands and animations that guys do, and you have to optimize them to make exactly what you want to happen.
So you tap like AAB when you have your guys set up, and it'll go pass, and the third guy will automatically shoot at the goal.
Yep, and there's all sorts of things like if a guy gets the ball and then pushes A, he'll pass it. But if you push A, if the ball is loose and you push A as you approach the ball, he'll do like an off the cuff pass, and it's a different kind of thing, and it works differently. It's actually better in some ways.
Yep, and with shots, you can also charge it up. And normally you hold B down, and the longer you hold it, the stronger your shot is. And your non-main character dudes will max out at a certain point, but your main character can hold it for a while and do a super shot, where then there's a mini, hit A in the right sequence to be able to do the super shot that gets you 2 points and gets by the goalie automatically.
Yeah, and it's like you can't let the team, only the team captain can make the super shot.
Yeah, and it's not at all unbalancing or cheat because it's really hard to pull off because
you need to be sitting wide open for a long time without anyone coming up and bothering you.
Now, it really adds a lot to the game in the fact that a breakaway in this game alone means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So by adding this, if you have a breakaway, that just means you have a chance to pull this off.
There's also the strategy of you get items in the game. You get items for different things. I think you get an item whenever you make a shot on goal if it's blocked by the goalie that would have gone in.
Yep, you get an item if the other person checks or slide tackles one of your guys when he doesn't have the ball.
Right, so if you have the ball, if you hit the person who has the ball, that's fine. If you hit the person who just had the ball, that's fine. If you hit the person who doesn't have the ball at all, they get an item, or their items get better. So you don't want to do that.
Granted, there's a key strategy. Like, if Scott's about to shoot and I know it's going to go in, I'll do everything I can to slide tackle the guy he's passing it to.
Or if the other guy already has some awesome items, hit him all over the place. Who cares if his items get better?
Because once his items max out, they can't get better than that.
Of course, there are some very rare, very good items, like the Chain Chomp.
The Chain Chomp.
And the Golden Star.
Oh, I forget the exact words from the instruction book, but the Chain Chomp annihilates the other team in its entirety for a short amount of time.
So if you keep hitting the other team when they don't have the ball, then eventually they'll get a Chain Chomp, which means they push one button and your whole team is wiped out, and they got clear to make the awesome shot. So yeah, there's other strategies to use the items. So let's say I'm running down the field and I pass it to my team captain, and then he shoots the red shells and it knocks down the other team, and then he takes the super shot.
Yep.
It's strategies like that.
Or Scott's got a breakaway and he's about to do the super shot. I use a mushroom and send my Toad on super speed to slide tackle him from behind and stop it.
But not only that, but when you're making the super shot, this meter appears on the screen, and you have to put the little lines inside the green areas on this meter. It's not easy. It's really hard to do it every time. But the other player can wiggle the C-stick, and it shakes your meter, so it's really hard to put it in the green area.
Yep. Now, other controls that you might need to be aware of is that when you're on the defensive, you can hit A to change between your characters.
You can do that.
It's kind of like passing. Well, you can't do it when you have the ball.
Right.
It's like passing, but there's no ball, so it's instantaneous.
Yep.
You can hit B to do a slide tackle, and all the sidekicks do it differently. Like, some go further, some hit harder.
Mm-hmm.
And if you slide tackle someone successfully and they have the ball, you take it from them. Or you can hit Y to do a hard hit. When you hit someone hard, you knock them down, and they're out of commission for a little bit. And if you hit them into the wall, they're out of commission even longer. But you don't get the ball. The ball just kind of gets knocked freely, and then anyone can grab it who's nearby.
Yeah. There's two different hits, and you have to figure out which one to use depending on the situation, you know? Like, if someone is a little farther away, maybe your guys slide tackle farther, but maybe someone's about to make a super charged up shot. Well, you need to knock them down fast, use the power hit.
The only other control is that you can use the Y button or the C stick when you have the ball to deke. Now, say you're running and there's a defender in front of you. If you if you do it successfully, you can kind of dodge around him before he slide tackles you.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when you're about to shoot, you can use that to fake the goalie out or fake the opponent out. I was going to shoot, but I wasn't.
You can also fake the opponent. Like, if you start charging up a shot, you can push A while it's charging to pass instead.
It's a great strategy to run up, charge up, and just before the guy behind you slide tackles you, do a pass, and then a shot. So it'll go bink, bink, and then go in.
Or do like a pass and a lob shot.
Yeah.
Or something like that. There's a lot of really good stuff you can do. Also, if you pass to someone who is like in the prime area for scoring a goal, the ball will have this trail behind it. And if you push B or A while that trail is on the ball, then your guy will either do what is known as a perfect shot or a perfect pass. It's kind of fancy. It just like the game slows down a bit. Like, oh no, shit!
It's like perfect slow motion. And there was a beautiful moment at one point where I was running behind a guy who had the ball, Scott's guy, and he just passed it to a person who was doing the slow motion thing. But I had just started a hard tackle, so I see his guy like flipping up to do the bicycle kick in slow motion. Meanwhile, I see my guy just slamming his guy, and you see the guy falling to the ground face first in slow motion as the ball goes in.
And as soon
beautiful.
Yep. Also, you can do like perfect lob passes and perfect lob shots. It gets really complex. You know, that's how you get the guys to do the crazy aerial maneuvers, is you do like a lob pass to the guy when he's right in front of the goal, and you push B, and he'll jump up in the air and do like a hurricane kick or something.
Now, the only other control is that when the goalie has the ball, and one, the goalie is invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Items do not hurt him. If you go anywhere near him and you're an opponent, he will punch you.
And freaking kick your ass, too. It
But
really sucks.
if you hit him straight on with balls enough, he'll get dizzy for a minute.
Yeah, like if you charge up a shot and kick it straight in his face, he'll be dizzy, which means if you can get another shot off quick enough, it's going to go in.
He's also realistic. Like, say you have a guy in the way, and like Scott shoots at my goalie, but one of my toads jumps in front of it and blocks the shot. The goalie already committed, so he still dives for the shot, and he's still out of place if Scott shoots again, just like it would have been in a real game of football.
Yeah, the goalie's not invincible, but depending on the difficulty level you set the game at, and it has 4 difficulty levels, it's harder to get around him.
But if the goalie gets the ball, you can hit A to pass the ball short to someone, or you can hit B to clear the ball all the way to the other side of the screen.
And that's Mario Soccer.
That's the whole game, other than they're the characters, and they're all different as usual. You know, Peach and Daisy are faster. Waluigi is tricky. I like Waluigi.
DK and Wario are slower, but they're really, really powerful.
The sidekicks are all different, too.
Yeah, so you can do Luigi and Hammer Brothers, or Luigi and Koopa Troopas, or Luigi and Toads. And it's all different. The Toads are fast. The Birdos are really aggressive.
Yeah, it's really, no one has done a fact of exactly what the differences are yet, but it seems to be that the Birdos are good on general offense. The Hammer Brothers are real good at straight-on headers.
It seems that's what they're straight at.
And I do notice one thing. The Hammer Brothers slide tackle is really long.
It is. I like that a lot. I started using the Hammer Brothers, and I basically use the slide tackle exclusively, except for the very rare case when I need to use the hard freaking hit.
Now, in terms of the game itself, it's fantastic, and there's not much we can say other than that it's a fantastic game. It's 1, 2, 3, or 4 player. You can do co-op, you can do 3-on-1.
That's one thing that's really good, is to unlock all the stuff, of course, you have to play, the one-player tournament thing. And you can play, which Mario Tennis didn't allow you to do, because you had to play in Mario Tennis to unlock everything, the single-player doubles, which meant it was you and a computer opponent versus 2 computer opponents. And it's very annoying to play that way and be forced to face incredibly difficult computer opponents when one of the people on your team is a computer-controlled opponent. In this, it allows you, in the single-player cup modes, to have more than one person on a team. So you could actually play the one-player game, or the tournament cup game, with 4 people on your team, all controlling a different character.
Now, aside from the gameplay, because there's not much more we can say about it. That's really it, and it's fun.
It's soccer. It's a lot of fun.
But there's, remember when Smash Brothers came out for the GameCube, and there was so much color in the game, and just little things. This game is chock full of that. Every character has numerous animations of their reactions to everything that happens.
You will get tired of them because there aren't really that many.
But there's enough to where it's really high energy and they're really amusing.
Yeah, some of them are really amusing.
Like, Waluigi actually makes the suck my dick maneuver. He straight up points at his penis like he wants you to suck it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Like, Daisy licks her finger and touches her ass and it actually steams.
And then she's like, hot. Actually, Daisy is my favorite one.
Daisy.
Sometimes when she wins, or when she gets a shot off, she runs away, pumping her arms in the air, just yelling, yes, yes, yes. And it's just so natural and hilarious.
It's really hilarious because you have this semi-hot body with this weird Daisy head on it.
I did read somewhere that, because someone actually mentioned in GameFAQs, how come the girls are wearing slightly skimpy outfits? It's not the kind of thing you see in Nintendo games.
Mm-hmm.
And I read, I haven't verified this, that another company designed the models and the stuff they wear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't read much about it.
Yeah, it's like next whatever games.
Yeah, but they had a lot more say in the game than other companies that did similar games have had in the past. Or they took more liberties.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure about the details of that. And
they definitely made the game... Like, if you think that, Mario Tennis and Mario Golf are sort of, kiddie-ish, there's...
Who know?
Yeah. Mario Strikers is definitely geared towards a slightly more Intuit sports audience. Kind of like that. What was that basketball game for the GameCube that just happened to have Mario characters in
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Like NBA Street something. Yeah, it's definitely more like that. Like, this isn't really super cartoony, happy cute Nintendo. This is really like a street kind of style soccer.
Yeah, like all those animations, those don't apply to just the main characters. The Toads and the Koopas have them too, and they're all, I mean, sometimes a Toad will score a goal, and he runs away just like, yes.
Yeah, and the Toads have evil eyes.
Well, some of them do.
Most of them do. Depends on the animation. Like, the Hammer Brother is the best, because what he does is he runs, and then he jumps and lands on his back and kind of slides like a turtle shell.
Yeah, and
He's
pumping.
like, yeah!
And it's fantastic.
It's really good.
The game is extremely high energy and extremely immersive.
It's real fast-paced action,
I mean, the music's
too.
just pumping the whole time. The music's pretty good. The sound effects are really well done, and really, the game pumps you up like a Eurobeat song would.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, one of the problems with the game is that there really aren't enough arenas. Like, at first, there's like 3 arenas available. So I unlocked the rest of them. I really only unlocked 4 more arenas for a total of 7.
And they're not different enough for me to care at all.
Yeah, I don't really care which arena it is, and they're kind of all the same. I like it's not like Smash Brothers where the arena matters a lot and there's a lot of variety going on. It's sort of boring.
Yeah, it does seem that if this game had come out in the early days of the GameCube,
That would have been much better.
they would have added a lot more to it because they were really trying to impress people. And now it seems like they could have done more with the game, but that doesn't really matter because the game as it stands is freaking badass.
Yeah, that's another thing. I would have liked more game modes. Like, Mario Tennis, you can play tennis, you can play the coin, you can play the rings.
But then again, I really don't like any of those other modes in Mario Tennis, and after playing them a few times, I was totally sick of them, and I only wanted to play the main game, so it seems like it was almost wasted effort.
I like to play the other modes occasionally,
I can't stand any of them.
Because sometimes,
The only one I like at all is the Chain Chomp Bomb Water one at all. That's the only one.
There's those things, too. It's
No,
like,
only that one. I hate the rest of them.
well, you hate the rest of them.
Yeah, I do.
I think that, you have a game and it only has one mode. When that mode runs out, you're done. It's good to have other modes to fall back on because you play those and then the original mode becomes interesting again.
But the Mario Tennis mode never ran out. I never got sick of that game.
Sometimes
I only got sick of playing it with all my friends who suck at it,
Uh,
even though they eventually all got pretty good.
yeah,
It just took a
kind
while.
of good.
Yeah, granted, it's not any great skill on our part. It's just that we played the game a lot more.
Yeah.
That's really all there is
Well,
to
it is sort of a game of skill, but mostly it's
But you learn the
it's
skill
a-
so quickly.
Yeah,
by
it's a
playing.
reflex memorization thing. You can get the skill in your brain. You have to get it into your, the other part of your brain.
I
Then
highly recommend, as long as you don't live alone, that you buy this game ASAP because you want to get as much enjoyment out of it as you can now before the Wii and all these new DS games come out.
because then you're never going to look back at this game.
Granted, there isn't going to be another Mario soccer game for a while on the Wii.
Yeah.
So this game will have a lot of staying power, but you're not going to want to play this game compared to all the crazy games that are come out for the Wii right away.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the game's not going to come down in price. So every day that you wait before you buy it is one day less of value you'll get out of it.
Yeah, you might be able to get it on eBay for like between 40 and 50, but you're going to get it at your EB or your GameStop for 50. So,
I regret the fact that we didn't buy it sooner.
yeah.
Because we would have paid the same if we'd bought it 4 months ago, and it would have been 4 more months of playing this game.
The game also it just has a tournament mode, but it's just a tournament mode. You set up tournaments of like knockout style or whatever, and then you have a tournament. That's what it is. A lot of games have had that. I mean, they're really old games that had tournament modes in them. I mean, Tecmo Bowl had a tournament mode,
Yes, it did.
so it's just not very exciting.
But I think that's enough about that. Bear in mind that tonight is the last normal episode of Geek Nights until 2 weeks from now.
Well, not 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from
Yeah.
1 week from Monday.
The Monday after Otakon.
So not next Monday. The Monday after that. 2 Mondays from now.
So, of course, tune in tomorrow for our Otakon pregame show, and tune in next week for the Geek Night specials, which will be of varying quality.
Yep.
And that was Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcast, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.